We'll see. We'll say like, all right. Good morning and happy Thursday. We are with WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, Radio, TV, and Podcast, #1 Internet Singles Top Network, with your health vibes with Elana. I'm Elana, your host today of, oh my gosh, your health vibes. And my journey is to raise your heart, body, and soul vibes to the next level so you can transform your life today. And today, our topic is highly sensitive souls tapping into their gift with the one, the only, magical Jim. I have to say, and also we're talking about how highly sensitive souls tapping into their gift and really letting go of thinking and allowing themselves to actually feel. So I am so excited to be here with Jim today. It is such a special podcast. I have been working with Jim since December 2020 for the past 4 years, and my heart is so full to have you on. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for showing up, and you guys are in for such a special treat. Yay! Jim, come on down.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Elana. My pleasure to be here. Really is.
So, Jim, I really want to share with the world your beautiful gifts, what you're about, and who you are. So if you could kind of share with the world your love and who you are so they get to know and have that gift of knowing who you are.
Sure. Okay. So my name is Jim Rajan, and I am a healer and a teacher. I've been working with wonderful people like you, Elana, for many, many years. I get to work with people all around the world. And so in that respect, I'm incredibly fortunate. Yeah, so I'm an incredibly sensitive person myself, and I always have been ever since I was a child. And when I was a child, it got called, I mean, this was in the 1970s, it got called autism. Later, it got called ADHD or dyslexia and all kinds of things. And I got labeled in all kinds of ways. But really, I'm highly sensitive. And because I suppose in the way that life kind of treated me or society treated me, I developed my own way of being and understanding the world. And in that, I found that other people wanted to come along on that journey with me and be encouraged by me. I'm a healer. I mean, I have to call myself a healer, so you know what I do, but I don't heal people. I walk the path with you as you heal yourself. And when you heal yourself, it's so much more empowering and enriching and everlasting. And so, yeah, I'm a healer. I also have my own school called the Subtle Qualities School, which is quite a new thing. And we do workshops for highly sensitive people. And I mean, I don't like the word neurodivergent, but ADHD, dyslexia, all of these things. Yeah, I mean, I like to say people who have a really fantastic, incredibly creative perspective on life. And we work with people very much like myself to really bring you out of yourself and use your gifts and use your sensitivity to help yourself and to help the people around you, I suppose. Yeah. And that's me.
And thank you so much. We're just so blessed to have that. And what I felt so called is I've always felt that I was very highly sensitive and just not understood. And, you know, when you show up in a world and then you start to think, what's wrong with me? What's going on? Why am I different? But it has nothing. So could you maybe explain a little bit more? What is a highly sensitive soul? What kind of categories are so that people can kind of understand more like what an highly sensitive soul is?
Yeah. So, I mean, first of all, modern society is very competitive and aggressive and status-based. And that works for many people. And what I find is that all human beings are incredibly highly sensitive. But most of us numbed ourselves in some way or other along the path and in a way complied or conformed with the system. to the point
Mhm.
where the system became the most important thing, and humans kind of are second to the system. So everyone is highly sensitive. Everyone feels things, intuits things. Everyone is in the nuances of things, but the majority of us just aren't aware of it anymore. The majority of us are allowing our attention to be taken away. And of course, social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all these things. There's so many things now to take your attention away, which essentially means take you away from yourself. And so
Ooh,
most
I like
of us,
that. Can you kind of expand on that of taking away from yourself and not show like, I really like that of, you
yeah,
know, we think of
we're,
everything else.
yeah, we're not even here. We're not even aware that, yeah, we're alive, we're breathing, we go to work, we do
Yeah,
our things, we put money on the table, feed the kids, do all of the stuff, have the mortgage. But it becomes very robotic after a while,
mhm,
very mechanical. And then, of course, we need to kind of numb ourselves further,
right,
drugs, alcohol, whatever it is, because we realize that we get stuck in a system that isn't really made for us or to help us. And so
right,
my work is about taking you back to you, to your path. We all have a path running underneath our feet all the time. You don't need to see it. You don't even need to know where it's going, but it's
right,
there. And that path is why you are and how you are and and what you are. And when you start to understand yourself and feel into life, sense what's use your sensitivity or sensibilities to it's a difficult one to explain,
I
um
agree. I definitely agree with that.
I suppose the way I've done it with myself, because
Yes,
it
can
was
you
the only way for me to survive in this world was to live through my sensitivities and sensibilities, was I rewrote my own story in a way that I'm happy with, where I don't have to comply with certain systems in
mhm.
society. Of course, I can't go running naked in the streets, but
I
there
mean, that
are
would be fun, I wish we could, but,
but
another
there,
day.
there are these subtle qualities, which is why we call the school the subtle quality school. There are these subtle qualities, the mystical, the magical, what the old spiritual teachers from thousands of years, hundreds, thousands of years ago, would call one's connection to God or one's conversation with God or to the mystical or um, to the beyond. The
Right,
more we allow ourselves to open to whatever that is, however you call it, spirit, source, God, Mother Nature, um, the more you allow yourself to open to that, the more your body creates serotonin and you feel here and now, and it feels wonderful.
right,
And the more here and now you are, the more you notice what's going on, and the more you realize you understand human nature really well, and you see people doing things, and you're like, actually, I totally understand why you're doing that. I don't think you understand why you're doing that, but I can see it. I'm not going to use it against you. I'm not going to use it to manipulate
yeah,
you. But what I am going to do is attune myself to how you actually are, so that
mhm,
the connection we have and our relationship is better. I'm actually able to listen to people on a much deeper level, because my job is to be completely present, I suppose. Yeah.
and you so are, like, oh, my parents' comment. So they said, "This is very fabulous. The Feldman family is sensitive." So,
Mm.
always growing up, I was like, "Oh, you're too sensitive. You're this, you're that." But just embracing that, my parents have, you know, allowed me to kind of show up who I am to an extent. We always, our parents always want the best for us, and they're always trying to show up the way that they think that is a good, but in
Mm.
reality, I think with parents and sort of stuff, let us show up for who we are and accept that. There's no change, we're always trying to change or mold or and just have that appreciation for our parents because that's all they know.
Yeah.
So I've always felt different because of my sensitivity and not understanding it as a gift. But really, when I started Gemini, my first piece was about 4 years ago, and wow, I am such a different Elena than I was 4 years ago
Mm.
because Jim has really shown up and really showed that my sensitivity is a gift. And it's something to be proud of. And I don't know, Jim, if you could explain maybe a little bit more about your school or your story of something that really catapulted like you to understand that. Also, what I like that you say is to feel. We think so much. We're always thinking, and not feeling. And with that connection, what can you tell or help or like say along those lines?
Yeah, I suppose. Well, we all have. There are three bodies. There's the thinking body, the physical body, and the feeling or the sensing body.
Mhm.
And you can go with all kinds of theory about this, but I find theory is pretty much useless. This work is about getting you to actually feel and sense and notice, and it's really get out of your own way and get out of your mind, so that you attune to what's going on around you, and you start to notice these things and the nuances in what's actually going on, and you start to see, there are people will be talking, but you kind of know what's actually going on underneath the words. And the more you come to that and understand that, the more it helps you in your own life. I mean, I'm a parent, and my parents they are wonderful people. My job as a parent is to do the least amount of damage to my child as possible. Everyone is going to do some kind of damage to their child. That is kind of
That's a given.
and our problems. But and so I mentor lots of parents of highly sensitive kids, or kids with neurodivergent, ADHD, all these things, whatever you want to call it, because a lot of parents are really lost when actually the parent themselves is usually very highly sensitive. And the more we help that person just become their own best friend, their own mother and father, in a way, the more you become your own parent, irrespective of how those people actually turned up in your life, your actual parents, the more you start to take ownership and responsibility of the fact that you're different, and that you feel in a different way, and that you specifically didn't numb yourself. Well, then the more creativity there is for you, the more options you're able to create for yourself, the more possibilities you can give yourself. I think the problem I had was I was very sensitive, and I was told to toughen up and be strong and be a man, and and stop being so sensitive and just get on with it and stop complaining, or and I think that really hurt me, and it taught me to run away from myself. It taught me that I was wrong in some way. And of course, whenever you compare yourself to anything, there are the chances that you'll win, but the majority of times you will lose. Because if you need to compare in the first place, if you kind of feel like you need to compete in the first place, you've kind of already lost. It's like a true warrior knows that if they go to war, they've already lost, because lives will be taken. No. And so I found it very challenging to be in my own skin for probably the first 20, 30 years of my life, until I started looking for teachers to help me understand what I am. And to understand the path, or to help me find a way through all of this that made sense to me, because most of standard human societal systems didn't make sense to me, and they actually hurt me in some way or other, or treated me in a negative way. And I thought, well, that can't be right. And so I looked and seeked out many, many teachers. And the problem was I never found one that I really believed in, that really gave me the answer that I was looking for. And so I thought, right, well, I have to just do this myself. And I went on a huge internal exploration myself. And I suppose this, and the way I work with people now, and how I'm lucky enough to work with people like yourself all around the world, is the result of that.
And I just want to give a shout out. Joyce was agreeing, and she said yes. So thank you, Joyce, for that. And I am so blessed to find you. I can't tell you, 4 years ago, you changed my life. I get emotional about it, because to be seen by someone and actually understand, and not make you feel like you're crazy, not make you feel like you're too sensitive, and actually like show up for you. And when they say they do, they do. And that's what I'm so blessed. Like, Jim has not only turned, like, we work together, but he is such a special, like, I feel like family, a friend. Like, I feel our past, and we had a past life of some sort of that connection to show up. But to understand myself, Jim has helped me heal it. And during our sessions, maybe you can explain more. It's not what Jim is actually, he is actually allowing me to talk to myself and share that gift of what I can't tell myself. So maybe you can explain more, but I get emotional because I finally found someone who gets it. I finally found someone that I can relate to. And I finally found someone to make me feel that there are other people out there like there, and that I can really appreciate my gift now. So, yes,
Okay.
that's the emotional side.
No, first of all, thank you, because it's difficult to to open your heart and share something like that with people.
Mhm.
Um, for me, the heart is important. The heart is the most important thing. Living from one's heart is really how one lives the true reality of this experience. Most of us just live in our mind, and it becomes robotic and boring after a while, because the mind doesn't ever really give you solutions. It just goes over to the same thing over and over again.
Right.
And
And it
so when you
becomes draining. Joyce said that her sensitivity drains her. So I don't know if you have some points on
yeah,
that too.
that drains you, absolutely. So the core of my work is something called a healing ceremony. And in a healing ceremony, what I do is I listen to your base frequency. I listen to your original code on a very, very core level. And it's something that I was always able to do, especially as a child.
Mhm.
But I kind of rejected it because I didn't know what it was, or how. I didn't really understand it. And so it took me many years to actually put it out there. But it's about really deeply listening to someone while dissolving yourself into the ether. And I
Mhm.
could probably teach you how to do it, but it wouldn't be the same, because mine came from lots of suffering in my own life. I
Right.
think I've got myself to this place in life because of deep suffering that then produced a kind of understanding of life that's very different from the majority of people, I suppose.
Right.
Um, I've had that, being overwhelmed by my sensitivity, empathic. I walk into a room of 50 people and I kind of would just freak out and get lost. And I mean, I
Right.
did a video on Instagram once where I would go into a room and then and do this, and I would like hold my fingers together to just try to save myself, or kind of or soothe myself in some kind of way, so that I wouldn't get damaged by all of the energy, if you want to use
Uh-huh.
the word energy, in the room. And
Yes.
slowly I started to teach myself to fill the room,
Mm.
instead of being the center of attention. I
Mhm.
taught myself how to make everyone in the room, and the room itself, the center of my attention. And in
Ooh.
doing that, you change the energy completely. And it's not
Mhm.
about you anymore. It's about
Right.
everyone. My
Mhm.
work, my work it's not about me. It's about you and what you need, Elena, and where each piece of work takes you. Every
Mhm.
time when I do a video chat, I never tell anyone what to do. I don't believe in advice. Any advice that anyone ever gives you is never for you. It's for them. But,
Yes.
but what we all need is someone to listen to us on that kind of deep level, where we, in a way, then hear ourselves, come closer to ourselves, begin to
Mhm.
understand, feel ourselves,
Right.
and then value that and appreciate what you are. I mean, you got one life, you get one chance. That's
Mhm.
it. Whether you believe in reincarnation or not, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You've got one chance at this life. And I would say probably 50, 60, 70% of the people are kind of throwing it away because they don't even feel themselves anymore. They don't have that internal conversation with themselves that they actually enjoy,
Right.
instead of one that they want to run away from. You know,
Where
and
do you
so
think they lose that, and feeling that, because, I guess we're kind of conditioned in society to show up a certain way, to do this, and then we're told this, and, you've said, you hit the nail on the head of really showing up for yourself and being present. And I think so many times we're not present because our minds are so somewhere else. And exactly, we're still thinking and not feeling. So many times we're not feeling that, or sometimes we're picking up someone else's energy because we're so concentrated on all the above. So what's the thing that you could kind of, maybe another advice that you have for someone in these things of really truly, you've helped me show up for myself to understand and appreciate me, and you are there to listen. And that's what I love, is that you are that guide. You show up intuitively as well, and leading someone on that.
Yeah, so two things. First of all, if you're in a society that teaches you that you're wrong and tells you that you're wrong or there's something wrong with you enough times, you're going to believe it, aren't you?
Right.
Because there is the society is everyone else, and then there is just the little me who's trying to cope with being alive. Now, the thing about conditioning is that, you are conditioned by your society, your education, your family, your friends, the circle of people you have around you. But also, for me, the worst of all of the conditionings is the way you condition yourself. And that one was a choice. That one was you listening to something in life or seeing the example of a certain person in life and going, right, okay, well, that's obviously the thing. That's what I have to do. Okay, well, if I want to be successful, I need to do this. If I want, for example, if I want to be successful, if I want to be a millionaire, if I want to have money, then this is too weak. This needs to be stronger, better, more intelligent, more charming, more suave, more beautiful, more whatever. And so in doing that, we then say, okay, well, then this is wrong. This has to be changed. I'm wrong. I need to be changed. A lot of the kind of modalities of healing systems nowadays, it comes from the fact that I'm damaged and I need to be fixed.
Yes.
No, there is damage. This is broken. It needs to be fixed. But the thing is that, it's like when somebody dies, we say, oh, that person, they took part of my heart with them, or a relationship breaks up and that person took part of me with them, or I lost part of myself. We give ourselves away or part of ourselves away so easily. But the majority of times you are completely whole. There is no damage. They're just stories that you're telling yourself that don't serve you. Yeah, of course, there are people who have lived in great pain and great suffering, and I understand that as well. And
100%.
there are different ways to approach that, but the majority of us, it's just the story you tell yourself. If you live in your mind most of the time, then you're living with what your mind tells you most of the time. And the mind is essentially there to keep you out of trouble, to stop you taking risks.
Yes.
Thousands of years ago, hundreds of thousands of years ago, you would be like, well, maybe I'll go and hunt that saber-toothed tiger. And your mind is going to be like, no, you're going to die. Let's run away.
Yeah. Right.
But it just so happened for me, in the way I understand life, is that the mind, it's just all it does is keep you from taking risks. When nowadays there aren't really very many risks.
Do you want to expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, well, I suppose the mind is really good at things like trigonometry or calculus, but helping you cross a road and kind of watching what's going on and organizing things, but not much else. And when you live from your heart, you kind of know that a risk isn't really a risk. A few 100,000 years ago, there were, I don't know, dinosaurs or whatever that were going to kill you because they were hungry. But the risk nowadays is about being humiliated, or people laughing at you, or people saying, you were stupid, you were wrong and I was right, you did mess up, look at you, see, I told you so. That's the risk, is being made to feel bad by other people. But if your internal story comes from a place of, I'm just here to love the people, life, and the world, and discover and explore, and I'm allowed to get things wrong, and if I make mistakes, it's fine. Miles Davis said there's no such thing as a mistake. Miles Davis, the jazz musician. And so if you can tell that yourself the story of flexibility, honesty with yourself, humility that it's okay. I got it wrong. And what? Did anyone die? No, it was fine. I got it
I love
wrong.
how you say that. No one died. No, showing up for yourself and being vulnerable and honest to say, I made a mistake, or say, so many times I think people can't admit their fault. So then they feel embarrassed because they did something different. Or, in life, I feel we put that story, good, bad. There's no good, there's no bad. It's how you choose. And as you said, you have a choice how you want to show up. So is there any other, kind of, tapping into this gift, and always thinking, someone is sensitive, but what are a few other things that you can let someone know how to deal with that? Or when they're in a situation, getting overwhelmed and someone being, you're too sensitive, you're this.
Yeah.
How do you kind of pull back?
When you understand what you are and why you are, and you have a story that you live by that is empowering, and you see yourself, and and also you're able to see other human beings, and the games that we all play with ourselves and with each other, and the one-upmanship, and all, when you start to be able to see that, the essentialness of it all just falls away. The importance of it all, none of it starts to make any sense. For example, I have been put through very kind of extreme states of suffering in my life, so much that they kind of ripped me from normal society, so that I was outside of normal society looking in, going, that doesn't actually make any sense, and it is really damaging for the majority of the people in it. I don't want anything to do with that. And so initially I ran in the other direction, but then I realized how important humanity is. When humans work together, when we actually are caring and loving and use the heart instead of the mind, we're able to create the most amazing things. A human being is incredible. Look at what Einstein came up with. Look at what the way Rumi writes. I love a lot of the old Persian and Indian poets, and the depth of love and quality of life experience that they came up with is just mind-blowing. And we're sitting here worrying about all the silly stuff of our mortgage and how these things matter, and just social one-upmanship and keeping up with the Joneses and having to look good and having the right clothes. And yeah, it's nice to feel good. It's nice to have nice clothes. I'm not in any way saying anything against that, but
no, I totally hear you.
When your internal priorities are right, and you live from a quality internal story, your experience of life is automatically different.
Can you expand on it a little bit more? I really like quality over quantity, and showing up of the quality of not material.
Well, you see, I think the more you can feel into what's going on around you in life and yourself, the more you feel yourself, the more you are aware of your emotions, the more you are aware that you have a mind and it's just thinking. And it's not a bad thing, your mind. It's
Right.
part of it. You need one. If you didn't have a mind, there would be a problem. No. But if you can be aware of it, I mean, one of the main parts of my work is to help people master the mind. And mastering the mind is not shutting it down or stopping it thinking or telling it what to do, because you can't do that, because it's a thinking machine. But what you can do is you can release and let go of every thought that comes. And so the more you're able to let go of things, well, then the more you're able to feel what is actually here, instead of perceiving what you think is here, or assuming that what everyone else is doing is right and what you're doing is wrong. The more you're actually genuinely present. I mean, the father of Rumi, he talked about burning in presence, to burn in presence. So it's not just being present, it's an aliveness that you create that just makes waking up in the morning and looking at the sunrise, and it makes you cry at how beautiful just being alive is. And then, yeah, of course, jobs, money, stuff, mortgages, children, and all the rest of it. But the gift of life is where we go with this work, because that's what you are. You're the gift of life. If you're a person who uses the term God, you are God. You are a part of God. God is everything. God is life. You are a part of that. You're a part of this universe. The universe is in a way, expressing itself and learning itself through you as a human being or human body.
Right.
And so really, the more you're able to command your own existence,
Mhm.
the greater the experience of that existence is, which is why another one of the tools we teach is letting go, the work of actually letting go of thinking. You know, we're all fighting each other. We all create our internal resistance. We're all
Right.
thinking about this thing and that thing. And, you know, and our mind just, sometimes it's not doing anything and we're not thinking of anything. But if you watch it, you'll see that it's actually looking for something to be negative about. And eventually it will find something. It will either look into the future and go, oh my God, what are we going to do next year? We haven't got any money. Or it will look into the past and say, oh, that person was horrible to me. And wasn't that nasty? And oh, life is terrible, isn't it? And the mind, all of a sudden, it starts to latch onto things, add emotions to it, which trigger you. And then before you know it, it's dragged you down a rabbit hole for a week of thinking about something that's
Definitely
totally,
been there.
absolutely useless to you.
Yeah.
If you can learn to let go of thinking, well, then you're here again and you're present and you're now. Baba Ram Das, he said, be here now, but he also said, be now here. So be here now, right? I got it. But be now. So I am now, right where I am, not tomorrow or next week or into the future. I'll do it next week. It's fine. I'll go to my yoga class and I'll be spiritual then. No,
Right.
now. Well, then the feeling of being alive multiplies or expands exponentially.
I agree with you because I think too, we live in so much fear. We compare, we're looking online like, oh, this person has this and this and that. And in reality, what I love about you and is how authentic you are online and offline. And we don't really share that. And so that's why I feel like you are even more special. And what you have to out there is you're not taking advantage of someone. You're still working on yourself. You're still showing up. And that's what's so beautiful. I feel so many times with these healers, they still need to work and this, and they're telling you you're good, you're bad, this, that, and compare it. Where you show up and you make the individual feel like this is truly coming from me. I can show up for myself. I can be authentic. Because when we start to write these stories, we see someone online and then you actually talk to them offline and like, my life sucks. This is going on. They're not showing up. They're not being present and exactly going down that rabbit hole. But I think if we're authentic and showing up for who we are, you know, that really, you really show that gift and you really allow someone to show up authentically for who they are. And that's what I really appreciate about you as well.
Thank you. It's funny. I was on a podcast a long time ago and I got told off for using the word authentic because it gets used so much nowadays, which is hilarious, you know.
Great.
So first of all, thank you. I mean, I do my best. I'm not perfect and I don't believe in perfection.
No one is.
The only way that I can do this is my way, and it is helping other people see the true nature of reality, because that's what I'm trying to do myself. A real teacher, a true teacher, is one who follows their own teachings. Otherwise, it's just somebody telling everyone else what to do. It's easy to sit there on your magical throne and tell everyone how important you are and and tell everyone what they should do with their life and what's right and what's wrong. But if you don't get to experience it yourself, it's just information. And we're all in the information age and we're bombarded with information all the time, and it's pretty much useless to most of us.
Right.
The only information you need is your own. The only information you need is, okay, so how do I put it? The way I understand the soul is that the soul is this huge, I mean, we've talked about this, is this huge, enormous ball of energy and essence that's miles in diameter. And this comes from ancient Hindu text. And in the very middle of it is a tiny little human being. And so all the information you will ever need is that soul, or whatever you want to call it, the spirit, the soul. And your work is to feel inside of your body and come to having a relationship with that, feeling the skin and the physical barrier where the physical body ends, but then also feeling outside of yourself, feeling that soul and the information that's there. Some people call it Akashic records. That's not really my cup of tea, but everyone expresses things in their own way, and that's fine.
Correct.
But for me, I do the work I do, and I have my Instagram channel, because I felt compelled to do it.
Because there's no one out there like you. I feel like you are different because I may be biased, but at the same time, I have looked for someone like you for so long. I've asked the universe to have someone show up to understand and really have someone else feel the way that I feel. Because as I said, I always felt different. I always felt, I felt I was put on this earth to love and show, and I was different, and I signed up for this in my contract. But man, it's been a struggle. And man, it's been hard. But finding my true self and finding someone else who can give me those tools has been amazing. And maybe also you could talk about, Jim is on InsightTimer, and maybe about the healing circle or some of those things that you do that people can join and be a part of, or even more like his school. Kind of elaborate more. There's nothing like his school. I mean, people, you need to sign up for this.
Well, I make all kinds of content exactly for InsightTimer. I make courses on prayer, Buddhism, Hinduism, all kinds of things that I am inspired by and have interest in. And fortunately, people enjoy those things. And I make wonderful friendships with people who've done my courses or come to our workshops, do our live sessions on InsightTimer, because that's what it's about. That's what social media is about. It's about heartfelt, genuine connections with other people. I think the thing about me that may be different is that I don't really have an ego, and I've tried to have one.
Yeah. You really don't. Sorry to cut you off. You really do not. And sorry that you are one of the people that I can truly say that you genuinely do not have that. And that's really another thing that makes you stand out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very kind of heart on sleeve. Every conversation I have with every person, I take my heart and I just put it on the table, and it's like, do what you want with that. But I'm here completely. To have no ego is also very difficult and challenging in this world. And so, of course, I put social masks on, and I kind of, I've kind of built myself a little ego that kind of works sometimes. But that's how I came. That's how I was. That's the life I was given. That was my original code. That's my frequency. How dare I try and change it? Who am I to come along? No, this is wrong. I have to be like all of the other people. No, I've got one chance, and I'm already 50. So I probably only got, if I'm lucky, another 35, 40 years of good quality.
You got like 50 more years, Jim, if not longer.
So it's about using your life. This is Buddhism. Buddhism talks about the importance of actually using your life. The original Buddha, he came to enlightenment, and then he started sharing his teachings with people. And then in the last few days of his life, he went to someone's house and they gave him some food, and the food was rotten or poisoned or something, and he got food poisoning. And even then, he was lying under a tree, food poisoned, almost dying, but people from close by villages had heard that the Buddha was close by, and so they flocked to him and they were asking him questions. And even while he was actually dying, he was still using his life and sharing, helping people see the true nature of their existence. He wasn't telling them what to do, because he never did, but he did say, you can open yourself up to life truly, and that's the experience. And so you're here to use your life. And so I learned that very early on, and had a couple of really good close role models that helped me to see that. I do kind of stand on the edge of the abyss and throw myself in kind of every day.
We need that. We need someone who's going to throw themselves in and show up. And, what I love too is like you bring community. My friend's on, she's my soul sister, Buffy. She says InsightTimer is great too. So I love that you could connect. And what is it? You really bring a community together. And I'm very big about community. And I love that you bring a community for others to show up for each other and themselves and find someone who is like them.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the tribe is all about. It's like we are this. People feel seen through my work. So many people, they say to me, "My God, I never felt so seen after watching this or that video on Instagram, or this session you did on InsightTimer." And so that's what it's about. It's about bringing humanity to a different place, because it's the way it's kind of going at the moment. Everything is about separation. It's about pulling us apart. That's what war is. War is saying, I'm right, you're wrong, we're separate, I'm going to win. But that's not what humanity is. To be able to take, I know we have to finish now, to take humanity to a place where it could be amazing. Some people have to open their heart and lay it on the table and go, here you go, what should we do with this? And that's one of my jobs, I suppose.
Yeah. So we're going to be wrapping it up, Jim, but is there one last piece of advice or anything that you would like to share or tell anybody? I just want to say also, I was super blessed. Jim and I got to meet in person. Was it 2 years ago or a year ago? About like 2 years
ago. Yeah,
something like that. So I just want to say too that my dream came true of actually we got to meet each other in the physical form of that. So I was super grateful. But Jim, do you have anything else that you would like to share? Last minute comment, and just so grateful. Please, everybody reach out to Jim. He is magical. He is amazing. And just, he has changed my life. So thank you, Jim, for who you are and what you do for this world. We are so lucky to have you in it.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I went to give a workshop in Santa Barbara, and you met me at LAX, didn't you?
I sure did. That's how much I love you when I pick you up from LAX.
So what would I say? First of all, I'd say don't ever give anyone advice, because any advice you ever give or anyone gives you isn't for you. It's for them. And the other thing I would say is there is so much inside each human being. There is so much story and possibility. We are incredibly creative human beings when we allow ourselves to be. You can create your own resistance to that. You can push yourself away. You can separate yourself from your true nature, or you can look at it, accept it, and then go and explore and have fun like a kid. The Sufi, one of the kind of definitions of a Sufi in a book that I read is a child of the instant. I mean, as I said, I'm 50 this year, but I still feel like I'm 15.
Yes.
Because life is just so fun, and there's so much there to just play with. So my only advice would ever be, don't take it all too seriously. Have fun with it, explore, play with it, take things that ought not go together and slam them together and see what happens.
Yes.
Life is so short and so quick and so fragile that you might as well actually be in it instead of trying to run away from it all the time.
Right. I agree. You got to live joy, playful. And you know what? Run around your house naked and put on your favorite song, since we can't do it down the street.
Yes, exactly.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. We are WGSN Going Solo Network. I am Elana with Your Health Vibes. We are the #1 singles internet talk show. And you can find me at ef11ca@gmail.com. My number is area code 562-235-8410, yourhealthvibes.com. And you can find Jim at
my website, jimrajan.com, or on Instagram at my name, at Jim Rajan.
And anything else, reach out to us. Thank you guys so much for being here. Jim, I love you, appreciate you, honor you. I see you. Thank you for being here. And everybody, please reach out to him. You won't regret it. Bye for now.
Thank you.